Enduro nutrition during Hattah desert race. So one of the problems that I see with Hattah desert race is obviously it's a very taxing event. Okay, it's like a motocross track on steroids. You've got roughly a half an hour lap, super sandy, 4 hours on the same track with hundreds of other bikes. And I guess the bit of the sick joke about it is that the more fatigued you are and the longer you've been riding for, the rougher the track gets. So as you're getting more and more fatigued, the track demands more and more of you. So one of the problems that happens is that usually about the 90-minute mark is where riders will hit the wall. And what I mean by hit the wall is they run out of energy. And the reason that you start to run out of energy is because that's when you start to run out of all the carbohydrates that you've had stored in your body. And when you get to that point, that's when you start dealing with things like cramping, dehydration, and you just feel terrible. Okay, you're just hoping for the flag to come out and the race to be over rather than actually being excited about the last couple of hours. So in this video, I'm just going to go through some of the strategies we use with our riders to make sure that they don't hit the wall and they can have a consistent level of energy all the way through the 4 hours. So there's two different strategies that you can use depending on what you prefer and how quick you are. So one strategy, let's start with the basics. So first thing is as we're going through the 4 hours, for every hour of riding, we need to have between 30 to 45 grams of carbohydrates going into our body. Okay, so every hour that goes past, we're burning through a whole heap of carbs, and we want to make sure that we're topping them up every hour. So it's a fair bit of, or reasonable amount of carbohydrates that we need to be taking in to survive a 4 hour period. The other thing that we need to do as well is make sure we're getting in roughly 15 grams of protein for every hour of riding. So they're the two main things that we want to focus on. Now, the strategy there is not too hard. Okay, it's not too hard to understand that or find some foods that fit into those categories. What is hard though is implementing that on a race day where you're trying to race, where you might be doing half an hour laps, where you might not have much time to come back to the car. It's actually getting it in. The strategy is the easy part. It's the getting it in, which is the hard part. Okay, and remembering to do what we need to do. So there's two main strategies that we use with our guys. First strategy is you can just put everything in your Camelbak. Okay, so a bottle of Powerade, it can be a great source of carbohydrates. There's roughly 35 grams of carbs in a 600 ml bottle. Okay, so we need to be getting in between 30 and 45 grams of carbs every hour. So what that would mean is you need to be going through roughly one bottle of Powerade for every hour of riding. So an easy way to do that is you can just stick it in your Camelbak and put a scoop of protein or half a scoop of whey protein in your Camelbak and then fill the rest with water. Good things about that strategy is you don't have to stop, you don't have to try and digest stuff, you don't have to have drinks. It's relatively easy. Once you've got it all in your Camelbak, you can pretty much forget it. If you can get it all in your Camelbak, you can pretty much forget about nutrition for the race and just focus on the race. Things that aren't so good about that is sometimes what I find with riders is they might have all the stuff in their Camelbak, but they don't actually drink much while they're racing. Okay, or they find it hard to drink. So although they may have the right nutrients on board, they don't actually consume them and get them in their body, so they don't get the benefits from them anyway. So that's one strategy. The other strategy that you can use, which because Hattah is laps and you're coming back to the pits where you can stock up on things or you can have a drink, or it's a bit easier to do it there than say like Fink, is you could use a carb drink. Or again, you could use Powerade. Okay, you could have like a bottle of Powerade every. Like if you're doing half an hour laps, if you're stopping at every lap, you could have say half a bottle of Powerade. Or you could use a carb drink if you want to. 600 mils is a fair bit of liquid to go in. If you wanted to make it get more carbs in with less liquid, you could make your own carb drink. Bulk Nutrients do a drink called Electrolyte Plus, which has got shit tons of carbs in it, so you can use that. Other option that you can use, which makes things easier, is using a carb gel. Okay, so like little sachets that you can just squeeze and suck them out, and they're just gels. You get them from Woolworths and Coles, so easy to get hold of. That's just less liquid sloshing around in your stomach or trying to get a whole heap of liquid in at once. So carb gels can also work well. Depending on the amount of carbs in the carb gel, depends on how many you have. Okay, so if they're 20 gram carb gels, maybe have two for every hour. Otherwise, you can get the bigger 40 gram ones as well, which some places have. So you just obviously have one of those every hour. And then protein, you can just have a small protein shake or half a protein shake, half a scoop of protein. So they're really the two strategies. It's either you're taking your nutrients on board with you and carrying it through the 4 hours, and that's how you're getting it in, but you just got to make sure you're drinking it. Or you can make sure you set up at the pits, have all your drinks and everything that you need, or carb gels mapped out at the car or at the pits. So then you can come in after, maybe you come in, depending on your riding ability, you come in after every lap or every couple of laps to refuel yourself, and then make sure that you're ready to go for the rest of the race.